Hey everybody, welcome back to the Nature Box Pet Emporium's YouTube page. Last time I showed you how to cut the glass for this terrarium door, and now we're going to go ahead and do the next step in a custom terrarium, which is the background. So to do the background, you don't need a whole heck of a lot. I use the insulating foam method. So what I have here is some Tetra waterfall sealant, a piece of Malaysian driftwood that we're going to work into the background, and the terrarium itself. It's pretty simple. It just takes practice. I've made lots and lots of backgrounds, so it's kind of easy. Just once you do it a few times, you just gotta kind of get a feel for the foam and have an idea of what you want to do. So that's what you do first, is you take the piece of, whatever you want in the background. Sometimes I do a lot of cork, sometimes I do more branches out from the bottom with like cypress knuckles or whatever. This is going to be a terrarium for some Madagascar pygmy chameleons, some Brachysia evanaui to be specific. So I don't need a lot of I'm going to use a lot of plants and a lot of sticks, and I'm just now trying to figure out what will look good, because you got to kind of go into this having a game plan. That kind of looks cool right there, coming down from the top and down from the top into the middle and adding a third element of depth. So you could do something like that. Maybe something going up. I kind of like the look of that though. That looks pretty neat. And move your wood around, flip it around, upside down, right side up, left side, back side, front side, side, anything and everything. To get it to where you like the outcome. I think that would look pretty cool, because you could plant some plants on here, so like some moss would grow on that. I think like right there, I think that's a winner. So when you kind of have what you want figured out, lay your terrarium on its back so you can do the work. So this stuff, I've seen a lot of people just go crazy with it. Do not go crazy with the insulating foam. You can always add more. Some people will go crazy with it and then sculpt it. I don't like sculpting it at all. It makes a huge mess. Personally, I think it's just a real pain in the butt. So I will build it up in layers. So if I'm not happy with it, I can always add some more. So shake it up really good. Shake it like a salt shaker, and then you're good. So again, just even pressure. Don't use a whole lot. Don't pull the trigger or just it'll go everywhere. Nice and easy. Start from the bottom. You won't really see down here. This will be covered up, so it's a good place to kind of start and get a feel for how the foam's going to act. So you can see I'm just doing very slowly. You can go faster if you want to, but again, just not my thing. Slow and steady wins the race, especially with this foam. And make shapes. Don't just do lines. You kind of want this to emulate nature, and geometric shapes in nature rarely happen. Rather, just parallel lines and whatnot doesn't really happen. And then you just keep on going. Whenever you can always find the white foam at Home Depot, but try and use the black foam. If you use the white foam, it's just going to be harder on you later to cover up. So now we're going to go a little bit faster. You can kind of see what it's all about. When it exits the can, try and have it make contact with the glass so it sticks. Some people will, you know, put a razor blade or like an SOS pad and scuff up the back. I've never really found that to be necessary. Also, you really don't have to do this bottom part because this will be covered up with your substrate layer. But if you add some texture back here, then you don't have to use as much substrate. So I generally do that area too. There's no right or wrong way to do this. It's all up to you. It's what you think looks good, depending upon just your style. What animals are going to go in here? Are you going to have a frog? Are you going to have, you know, a lizard? Keep that in mind, and then create the terrain that your animal would like. You know, something like a pygmy chameleon would well utilize the wall here. If you're putting something like maybe a, let's say a newt or a salamander, he won't climb on the back of the wall, so you really don't need to get too crazy with your detail unless you just want it for yourself. So just having some fun with it. Filling it all in. You can see down below where we already dispersed the foam. It's starting to fill in and expand. I always recommend letting this dry 24 hours before you kind of fiddle with it, before you add another layer. It will dry a lot sooner than that. The top layer will be, you know, workable and dry, but you really want it to be dry all the way through. So from the bottom and then the middle of the foam. So if you decide you want to sculpt it and you just wait, let's say 3 hours, the top may be nice and firm, but when you go to sculpt on the inside, you are going to make a huge mess because this stuff is so incredibly sticky and messy. Oh man, it is a real pain in the butt. That's why you will notice that I am not touching it at all, because I have had this stuff stick to me and it gets on your clothes and it gets on your fingers and it gets everywhere. So real good piece of advice is just don't touch it at all unless it's dry. So making sure everything's kind of filled in, that you go back through. Fill in all the spots. So we're getting there. Your hand will get tired. just a little spot up at the top. Fill that in. There you go. So the back of this is, for all intents and purposes, done. Another tip is that this will continue to expand, so kind of wipe it off. Don't like set it right here because it'll drip and you'll have a spot on your terrarium rather. Paper towel. Never waste it. You'll always see little spots that you miss. Those will get covered up when it expands, so no big deal. So you want to place your piece. So we decided that we kind of liked it, you know, right up here, working out a little bit, adding that, you know, depth towards the front of the terrarium. So there's so many ways to do it. I like to work with just some blue tape, which is somewhere that I can't find. Or we can just use tape. Some packing tape. And what you're going to do is just make a way to secure it. Oh no. So you can see what I did. I told you it gets everywhere. Right here. I have one little spot and then I got it on my table. So, like I said again, be careful. Luckily I don't think I got it on me anywhere. But inevitably I will somehow come in contact with it. Always happens. So, get it kind of where you want it. And find a spot where it's stable. Might need another strip of tape here. And if it's smearing back there, not a really big deal, because we're going to build up layers right there. Oh, that's perfect. So, running low on foam. So get in there and add some layers. Let's do it over here. And this will, as it, you know, expands and hardens, it will secure this piece of wood into place. Also, try not to ever get the foam on the glass where you don't want it, because again, then it's a huge pain in the rump to get it off. Lots of razor blading, and if you can avoid that extra step, that extra time, that extra hassle, then do it. Let's see, I think I like that. This is why I use blue tape, because it's just easier to work with. Okay, there you go. So now we kind of have a little shelf right there. Getting to the end of our tube here, our can of foam. Use it all up. You paid for it, use it. Because also, it's once the straw clogs up, you can take them off, but generally it's not worth it. So I try to use just one whole can at a time. Okay, so see, told you, got it on myself. So I would like to use a little bit more, but I gotta go fish another can out from in the garage. Ooh, I almost got it on my shirt. So we'll cut right here, but this gives you an idea. So this is step one of making a naturalistic background. I'm gonna let this dry overnight, add a little bit more foam up here to build that up. And then everybody, so I have let the foam background dry for the better part of the day. It's still not all the way dry yet. If you listen, you can still hear it. You know, there's still flexibility back there. I'm sure you can see it move. Just that a little bit. So this is still not done drying. However, I want to add a little bit more. I took the tape off. Remember, I had taped this into place. Now it is not going anywhere. Some people will silicone these into place. I really don't think that's necessary, but if you want to, you can. So what I kind of want to do is that I don't like that this is just flat right here. I'm going to add some more foam right in this area, and then I want to fill in some of this back here, just because that's going to be a real pain in the butt to texture. So I'll fill that in. What I'm going to do is use some white expanding foam just so you can see the difference. Usually I try to use all black, so by mixing it up a little bit you'll be able to see the difference between the two. If I can open the can. Okay, let's shake it up. Shake it, shake it. Should be good. And then go ahead and put it back on its backside. Okay. So again, what we're going to do is just fill in some of these areas where, you know, when you go to apply the texture, it's going to make it really difficult to put silicone and then your backing into those little crevices. So we'll fill those up a little bit, and then like I said, we're also going to add some more, a little, I don't know, a bump right over there. So let's go ahead and do it. You don't need a lot, especially the great stuff. I've found that the great stuff expands a good bit more than your typical waterfall black liner. So a dabble do ya. Also, what this will show by using the white is that the method that I'm going to show you will cover up the black as well as the white just as easily. However, it's just easier to deal with the black, just in case you miss a spot. However, you could also say that by using white, you make sure that you don't miss a spot. So, tomato, tomato. Everyone has their own way of doing things. There's really no right or wrong way, just as long as you're happy with the outcome. So that filled in that pretty good right there. Fill that in. Rotate it so it's easier to deal with. So the main thing we're trying to get is like this right here. That would just be a pain. Oops. Contemplating just filling that whole void in right there. Yeah, I think I'm going to. Because that would give things a real good place to hide, and not necessarily in a good way where, you know, you can check on them. If something was lodged in there, good luck getting that out. So just fill that in. And make sure you provide somewhere else to hide for whatever's going to go in your terrarium. Okay. I'm happy about that move. That would have been a nightmare to deal with something hiding in there. And then just a dab to top off that void. Okay, cool. So now that piece of driftwood is 110% secure. It's not going to go anywhere. And we're ready to add a little bit more topography to the back wall. Because again, in nature, you know, you don't find usually just a flat surface. So use your creativity to make yourself something of shape. Remember that you're going to have substrate almost up to the door, so you don't need to get crazy with shapes down below your substrate line. So, pretty happy with that. Remember, that's going to expand at least by a third of that. So, you know, it may be that small now, but it'll get big. You can see already where we sprayed just a second ago, especially like right there, you can see it coming out of the hole already. So that's going to expand a good bit, just to give a little more depth. Let's go ahead and do a little bit more just for kicks. You can actually overdo this. It'll get to a point where it's heavy, so heavy that it'll kind of implode upon itself. So just the only way to do that is with, or know when you've reached that point, is with some experience. And that's probably about it. I'm going to do another little thing over here. I'll connect the two. Cool. Let's see, trying to figure out if there's anything else that I want to do. I like that we have a slope up here, have a little feature there, your driftwood. If you wanted to, I'm not a huge fan of doing this, but you can add little mesh pots. Like that would have been a good spot for a pot, but again, I'm not a real big fan of that. So let's take a look. Make it real quick because that will slide. I think I'm pretty happy with that. Hopefully you are too. So okay, just a little more. I talked myself into just a little bit more. There we go. Kind of get rid of that shape. Kind of looking like the state of California here. Another little edge there. Going crazy. Gonna do a little more. Cool. Okay, now I think I'm happy. Yeah, I like that. Cool. Okay, so again, we're going to let this dry completely overnight, and then tomorrow we will texturize. Thanks.